Okay, good afternoon, fellow crafters. This is a sort of tips and tricks video that I'm doing. Not going to be a full project, but it's going to be some part of something that I'm doing for other projects. So we're going to look at making some doors. And the reason I'm doing this is because this is something you can do during your downtime, just to help you later on when you need something for crafts. Whenever you're doing buildings or something, so you have an easier time and have something already pre-made. So I've taken this piece of cardstock here, and what I'm going to do is I've got these craft sticks. These are the flimsiest, most generic ones. They're basically the equivalent of a coffee stirrer from a place like Starbucks. The package that I got them from is the Woodpile Fun. I'm going to take 5 of them, and you want to check them out before you actually start gluing anything down, because these come out really warped in some cases, and in some instances they're at weird angles sideways. So I'm putting these down to look at how they compare to each other as far as being parallel and not having some weird angle to the side. Got a second stack here. They're going to be warped and bowed in different ways. It doesn't matter if they're bowed when you push down on them that they go flat. What matters is, like in this instance, you can see here I've got these held together, and I've got this one that, let me zoom in. Okay, you can see, if I can bring them down, that this one goes off to the side. So we're going to go ahead and pull that one out. Now, looking at the rest of these, put in a new one. How's this one doing? Okay, so this one fits in relatively nicely. So we're going to go ahead and take these two sets, take our piece of cardstock, you want to make sure you get it the full length of the wood sticks. So I need to go to there. And I need a full inch. 5 of these sticks is roughly 1 inch wide if you put them all side by side. Okay, so go ahead and use this to spread it out. Okay, now I'm going to use this little piece of cut-off from another project just to square it up against the edge. Okay, put the next one down, the next one down. And the next one. Push them all tightly against each other. Make sure that they're all flat next to each other. Now, these are going to bow and warp because they're wet with glue on one side now. But we've got a few minutes before we have to really worry about that too much. So I'm going to lay it down. I did this strip here. I'm going to do these ones on this side. Okay. these ones. Here. Here. Okay. Let's swap this out for a slightly wider set of cutoffs. Okay. Now, it's not going to kill you if they're a little bit bowed between themselves. Let me tighten up. So you can see I've got some space here between them. What's important is that other one that I had was at such a wide angle off of it. Widen back out. Was at such a wide angle back off of it that there was no way it was going to be even remotely close. Okay. Now I've got these set here. Now if I leave them like this, they're going to dry all warped and bent. So I'm going to set something heavy on them while they're drying, and I will see you guys back here shortly. Okay, so I allowed these to dry for about an hour and a half each, and I went ahead and made another set of them in the meantime as well. Now once you've got it to this point, you're basically just going to cut it away from the excess cardstock. Okay, you want to get this edge as close to the wooden stirrers as you can. If you have some excess, like if you didn't get it exactly to the edge or something came out a little askew as it dried, it's no big deal. Just trim it off at this stage. Okay, now at this point, let me zoom in a bit. Okay, so as you can see, I left the rounded edges on. At this point, this is where you'll go ahead and trim them off. This is why I went ahead and made sure that when I glued them that it was up to this edge as much as possible, so that I'm just going to get a nice little trim on there. Same thing on the other end. That's why this little flap doesn't matter, because I'm just going to trim these all flat. If you're going to do something like this by hand, zoom back out, I do not recommend doing it with something like this, because and also you need to make sure if you're doing this by hand that you glued them to the cardstock really well. If you use something like this, you're not really cutting through it, you're basically compressing it, because while this is sharp enough to cut something like plastic, doing something like wood, essentially you're compressing it, which when you do that is going to cause the wood to split up or press out, and that can break the hold that it has on the cardstock. If you're going to do this by hand, use something like this, or if you can't find some of the shears like this, go to like the 99-cent store and get yourself a set of heavy-duty kitchen shears. I recommend these for crafting, not for use in the kitchen, because I don't think I would trust this to be something that's easily cleanable, to not get contaminated with like poultry juices or something. But if you're going to do this by hand, get something like this that's long enough to cut it, so that you can do it in one attempted motion instead of going through and compressing every single one like you would with these. Now I'm going to go ahead and do these on the bandsaw, just because the bandsaw is going to give me a nice smooth edge. It's not going to compress the wood so that it will stick to the cardstock really well. I'm going to go ahead and take these over to the bandsaw, get it set up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've gone ahead and set up the triangle here at 1.5 inches from the saw blade. So what I'm going to do is, using the push guard here, I'm going to go ahead and just cut off the tips of these to get rid of the rounded section. Now when I set up this, I did not set it up exactly flush against the plane here, because I wanted it to have room for the sawdust shavings and stuff to go underneath this, so that it doesn't help bunch up or screw up the alignment when I'm pushing something through with it. Now, because these are so thin, they'll go under that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is put this piece of scrap wood against it that'll rest on the plane. Take this out. As you can see here, I'm just going against the tip. I'm going to go ahead and eyeball this. That looks good. Let's cut it. There you go, a nice flat cut. I'm not going to worry about doing the other side because that'll end up in the scrap bin. So, now that I've gone ahead and done that, I can go ahead. Oh, and by the way, you shouldn't put your fingers near the blade when it's moving. I'm comfortable enough with this. I'm not going to worry about it at the moment. Okay. Here. There you have it. Shut this off for a second. I can go through and crank these out. I'll end up with a nice flat cut edge. A little bit of cleanup on the back, but that'll take me like 2 seconds each. But now I have all these that I can just go ahead and toss into a little spare cup, and whenever I need to use a door for a project, I've got these ready. I won't put the doorknobs on these yet, because I'll wait and see what kind of doorknobs I want to put on. If I'm just doing something for a medieval type village or settlement, I'll just do simple doorknobs. If I'm doing something for a more urban settlement, for a more modern feel, I'll go ahead and put on more decorative doorknobs. But this is one of the little tips and tricks for a rainy day when you just don't have anything else to do. Like I said, you can do this with a pair of shears, but this is a way to have the doors preset and done. 1.5 inches tall, just put it in there, put a door frame around it, whatever door frame you want to use. Talk to you guys later. Bye.